Hey, what's up guys and welcome back. I got this idea some time ago, so here it is. As I said, I'm gonna be doing more of my own what ifs on the channel, so yeah, another one of mine guys. This will basically be Naruto as a Uchiha, leaving the village and creating his own. With the remaining Uchihas, certain events are going to lead down the path of Itachi, not slaughtering his clan. However, they will be leaving the village. Imagine it. A new clan of Uchihas mix with another powerful clan and many more powerful people coming together to unite under one banner, led by one man, one powerful man. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. So just sit back, relax, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. And don't forget to go ahead and check out the other channels. Links down in the description. So let's begin now, guys. We begin this new series within the council chambers of Konoha. All the council members were all gathered as the door opened up by the envoys, revealing none other than Hiruzen Sarutobi. He stepped inside, a grim look on his face as he proceeded to sit down in the head seat. I'm sure that you're all aware why this meeting has been called, he said. All the members in attendance seem to already know why they were here, as the looks on their face confirmed that. Koharu, past teammate of Hiruzen Sarutobi, was the first to speak. Have we got a location on them yet? Hiruzen shook his head. Unfortunately, no, he said. They've been evading us for years now. However, just recently, from the report I was able to give to you all, they were spotted making their move in the light after all these years. But why now? Inoichi was the one to speak. After all these years, why are they making a move now? And what does this mean for us? What does this mean for the stability of the peace in the elemental nation? Isn't that obvious? Choza spoke up. Once the information fully circled around the elemental nation, and the other nations realized that what is said is not just false news, but actually reality, they will start to lead a parade in order to bring the destruction towards the doorsteps of the remaining Uchihas and Uzumakis. And what is our obligation to this? Koharu said, given our last interaction with the remainder of that clan, what is our obligations to involve ourselves? This might lead to another world war, she said. All of your questions and answers are valid. Hiruzen spoke up. However, our last interaction, as you just said, between the Uchihas, it was neither a hateful one or one of malice or one of revenge. We were not in control of the situation. We were unable to provide the necessary backup to keep them alive. We failed in that endeavor. And that is a part of the reason why they left this village. Since the Nine-Tails attack, we all know that the public has been looking at the Uchihas with unkind eyes, and that has led to numerous aggression from the Uchiha clan, which led up to their eventual attack, with the culprits still unidentifiable. The village was still in a state of recovery. They were able to get by us. Border security, village security, has tightened ever since to keep the remaining shinobis within the village safe. But that is not what we're here to talk about here, as instead. What we're here to talk about is the rising threat that is just beyond the horizon. For years now, I've had Jiraiya use his spy network along with several other information brokers, and yet they've been able to evade us for the longest time now. We all know that the Uzumakis were the greatest when it came to Fuinjutsu. As we thought that they were all wiped out, we were wrong. Given the last brief evidence that we saw, the Uzumakis are alive. We do not know a specific number. However, somehow, the Uchihas were able to get them to join them. Given the past non-interaction with that clan, it came to a surprise to us all. But there is nothing that we can do about that now. They've been using Fuinjutsu to hide themselves from the world for some time now. There has been rumors and sightings, but never a full-on capture or a full-on word from one of them. However, we all know what is going to follow because of this sudden arrival, as the members in the room had a grim look on their face. Not to mention the strength that they alone possess. Even if the other nations decide to attack them, Koharu was speaking. How do we know that they will fall once again? In the past, the Uzumaki clan was caught unprepared for the incoming attacks from all three nations. The Uchihas were caught unprepared. That has wised them up to a degree to never be caught such ways again. They've been able to hide themselves with the unknown amount of numbers. We have no idea the strength that they possess. Not to mention the child of the former clan head, Itachi Uchiha. That boy was a true prodigy if there was one. His younger brother, who is unknowingly gotten stronger by now. And not to mention the biggest threat that they have amongst themselves. As everyone understand who she was talking about. It runs in the blood. Shikaku spoke up. His father was able to make a name for himself. A cold, heartless man he was. We all can agree that he was one of the powerfulest. To this day, we still do not know in terms of strength if even the fourth Hokage could match him in a one-on-one battle. No one seemed to disagree. And that boy, at an early age, he was able to make a name for himself, just like his father, despite the strain and backlash that come with being the grandson of Madara Uchiha. Everyone in the room got tense. And that's not even the biggest problem. Having the lineage of the Senju running through his veins, despite the fact that only a few here has witnessed the Mokiton being done by him, we all know that he possessed that strength as well. Combining that with his Uchiha lineage, the Sharingan, we have no idea the power set that he has been able to develop over the past couple of years. So them facing off against a few nations would not just be a single-hand battle. It will turn into a world war. And that begs the question, when that happens, what do we do? All eyes were on Hiruzen. He himself was not sure what to do. In the back, Danzo's Shamura was incredibly quiet. He had not made a single sound or reacted in any way. He and Hiruzen knew a lot more about the situation. The random attack on the Uchihas that caused many Uchihas to fall was not a random attack. Danzo had set his root agents to massacre them all. But even while the attack was surprising and it caught them off guard, Danzo had lost nearly 80% of his root agents that night. The ones that flee were the only reason why his numbers were not completely depleted. The plan had been perfect. He had sent a large portion of them to incinerate him in the house where he lay, to kill him while he sleep, but somehow he was able to get out before he could be turned to powder. That boy truly lives up to the name that Madara Uchiha spread in fear over the nation. He's even surpassed his father when it comes to that reputation and power. There was no doubt about that. And his father was such a dreadful man. It is truly surprising. But there was no time worrying about that right now. Konoha had to be ready. The world might be at peace right now, but soon enough, war will be coming. Time skip. Hiruzen sat in his office after a very long meeting. They were getting longer every time. His age was really showing as he was feeling so tired, exhausted. His bones were getting more and more brittle as he aged. Hiruzen wiped his hand down his face. He blamed Danzo for a large portion of this. However, if Danzo did not make the move that he made, Konoha would be in the center of a civil war, just like Kira is at the moment, and that is not what he wanted. Hiruzen was unable to stop the plan. He was unable to stop the coup. He thought that he had Itachi Uchiha on his side. However, Itachi Uchiha in the end, he sided with his clan. Danzo was able to see that before Hiruzen could, and he sent his root agents to massacre all of them where they stood. But they failed, despite the attack being rather surprising and fast. That one boy was able to turn the tide of the attack. He went on a massacre and erased majority of Danzo forces like it was nothing. Hiruzen knew the outcome of that the moment that boy stepped on the battlefield. He called him a boy because Hiruzen was far older, but he was no longer a boy, given the fact that he knew him from when he was so much younger. And yet, now he has changed. He's probably changed towards degrees that Hiruzen could not even recognize. And Hiruzen did not doubt that there was hatred in his heart. There was no way that Itachi did not tell him that Danzo was behind the attack. The rest of the council did not know this because Hiruzen knew if this information was to leak, the other council members would realize that if the topper heads of Konoha, which being him and the council advisors, did not like certain clans or their motives, they might try to wipe them out. That would cause a downfall in Konoha, ninja's economics, and going forward. Hiruzen did not want that. As much as he hated to be twisting the truth and not giving all the information that could perhaps change their views on the situation, he had to do this. Otherwise, Konoha would just be in a panic mode every single time. All they could do now was wait to see the outcome. As he wondered, what does this mean? The first sighting had not been so long ago. He doubted that the other nations were not already on this. However, they were still in the darkness. They still could not be found, despite all of the resources that were being sent to smaller villages. It made no sense. It was like they did not exist, but at the same time they did. They sent products and resources out. They had what seemed to be the greatest economical structure in terms of farming, and they had allied themselves with several other smaller nations. All of these treaties has been silent and rather quiet. You had to know what you were looking for to find this. Jiraiya was able to find this, but none of the other leaders would even give him the time of the day. And Konoha was not going to risk a war with any of the other nations. Recently, the land of snow was changed into the land of spring. Dodo Kazahana had been leading the village after killing his own brother to take over. However, Dodo and his forces, his loyalists, they were massacred. Their whole existence was erased, and Koyoki Kazahana retake the throne. Hiruzen was sure, after Jiraiya gave him the specifics, that the Uzumaki clan and the Uchiha clan was behind this, merging into what he did not know. However, their power and strength merging with several other smaller countries, but these smaller countries had a large amount of resources. They might not have a large ninja fighting force, but they were gaining and growing. And who knows what they were plotting to do. Hiruzen feared the outcome in the future. Despite the strength that Konoha posed, he still feared it. Not to mention, the biggest weapon, even though he hated even saying that word, that Konoha had in their arsenal, the Nine Tails, was no longer with them. That was a huge discussion earlier, and now he could feel it in his old bones. Something bad was going to happen. Time skip. Paranoia was a powerful thing. It led to several stupid, ridiculous actions that someone with a clear mind would not actually do. The Raikage was a paranoid man. He refused to let his genins go to any village that was not allied with his village for the Chunin exams. Yes, he was paranoid, and it has shown over the years. But he believed that is what kept him safe. And not to mention, it was his instincts that he followed. However, finding out that not just the Uzumaki clan but the Uchiha clan are now allies, bonding together into one strange mix, was something rather fearful. Some time ago, his village and a few others had came together to bring Uzi down to its knees. It turns out, a lot of them had survived. A lot of them had fled. He knew that they would be wanting revenge. Something that he had to be prepared for. The rumors are spreading like wildfire. He was not sure who was behind these rumors or what they were trying to accomplish, but they were coming from all over. For years now, he tried to find this so-called village where the both of them has been united together. The old ruins of Whirlpool. Several other deserted areas, but nothing. It was like they did not even exist, and yet there was certain trading that was going on behind the scenes that none of his spies or his information people could find out about. How were they doing it? He did not know. And these were not any run-of-the-mill villages. These were some powerful village, like the current Land of Spring, the Land of March, the Land of Mountains. That were the few that he knew. They had a vast, large resource, while they did not have a ninja village because they outsource. Over the past few years, they have stopped outsource their mission or their problems to any of the other villages. That led him and several others to believe that someone else was doing this mission. While they were unable to find the person, of course it was more than one, multiples. They believed that it was all linked together. It was Uzumaki's and Senju's. The first thought that came to his head was that boy. His name was Naruto Uchiha. Yes, a very powerful individual. The fact that was really scary was he was the son of a man that they call the Reaper. The Uchiha Reaper. A ruthless, heartless individual. After his wife died, giving birth to his son, he became Konoha Reaper, a monster if there was ever was one. When he died, that was a blessing for many of the villages. His ocular powers was truly magnificent and scary to be around. However, the Reaper father was the man that struck fear into the hearts of many with just his name alone, Madara Uchiha. And now his grandson Naruto Uchiha, who's also made a name for himself in a short amount of time, was one of the most fearful and most mystery individual at the moment. No one knew where he was or what he was truly capable of now. The Uchihas had some heavy hitters. The Uzumakis were always prodigy in Fuinjutsu, something that can even render their most powerful weapon, a tail beast, down to nothingness. And there are some rumors going around that the Ninetales was taken by the Uchiha clan from Konoha. He did not know if that was truthful, but if it was, that was a bigger fear to have. It is said that the Sharingan can control the tail beasts. That meant they had a literal godly weapons on their hands that they could use to attack any other nations. Paranoia was in it, but the Raikage saw the true fear that was coming with this rise. So he had no choice but to man his people and get them ready for what seemed to be an upcoming war. Time skip. Oniki thoughts were not different from that. However, unlike the Raikage, his efforts were much more larger. He knew they were coming for his village, and him as well. The stone was a big part of demolishing Uzu, because they fear their power. The way they could take down their tail beasts like it was nothing, with just a few goddamn seals. They hated that. Their bodies were literally designed to take down tail beasts because of those damn chains. He never thought they would ever rise again. But he was wrong. Yes, he was wrong like many others. He couldn't afford for them to rise once again, because if they did, who knows the problem that they would bring with them. They had to be found, and they had to be erased from this plane of existence. That was the only way that the peace that was going on right now could prosper. All of the past enemies were rising up. He had to make sure his village come out of this alive. He would do whatever it takes. Time skip. At Kiri, away from the main island, away from the main village, sitting inside of an underground bunker, was none other than Mei Terumi. Mei Terumi was a rather special woman. She was the leader of the rebellion forces. Their former Mizukage had went batshit crazy and decided to kill all the bloodline users. That led to pure chaos. She had quickly gathered the ones that she could, and they had fled. She was able to take a commanding position. However, they did not have what it takes to defeat Yagura. Yes, they were buying time, but eventually, supplies, manpowers, medicine, they were running out, and fast. She went to the other nations, but none of them wanted to get involved. They wanted to see the outcome before they chose a side. That truly pissed her off, but she could not do anything in her current situation. That is when someone came to her. At first, she refused to believe who had sent this individual. She heard that the Uchiha clan had fled from Konoha, yes. Many had heard about that. However, why? Why would they help them, given the past attack with Kiri? Joining forces with the other nations, she was confused. However, the person that she talked to said that the person that sent her believed that she would make the right choice. And Mei did. She needed all the help they could get. They were able to provide them with the necessary things that kept them alive. But now they owe them. Despite everything that transpired, she has never spoken to the leader of this coalition, a fusion between the Uzumakis, which were still alive, and this Uchiha leader. It is said that it was the grandson of Madara Uchiha. The Uchiha and Uzumakis that she spoke to, though, were there to speak on his behalf. She's never seen him. She's never had the liberty of talking to him. However, they were getting close. Soon enough, they will launch an attack. An attack that they were going to launch that would finish everything once and for all. Once Yagura was down, they would deal with the loyalists. They just needed Yagura out of the way, the heaviest hitter. The Uzumakis and Uchihas will be providing support. She just hoped that everything goes smoothly. And she was really looking forward to meeting this leader after this was over, to truly sit down and talk with him. If he had the understanding and the foresight to come to her. Granted, she was not involved in the attack on Uzu, but still, her village was. She would like to meet this man who had the foresight to see beyond past grudges and look towards the future. She would want to know and understand why he did this. Because all of their health was the only reason why they were alive. Even the water daimyo did not want to get involved. And she had to outsource their problems to other people. So she truly would like to meet this man. Time skip. Unknown area. There was a beautiful village. The decor of the village was made from wood and stone, mixed together in an unusual way. The houses were mostly round and large and wide. The land that they resided on was a massive piece of land, outstretching for miles upon miles upon miles. Despite the population, which was large, the houses were many and not so closely bunched together. There was a massive trench right in the center of the village, where there was a lake. The water was clear as the eye could see. Beautiful fish could be seen swimming inside, going all around. There was a few bridges that were there to cross over, with golden trimmers on the side, and it was painted by red paint. The place was clean and kept together. Night lamps all over the place to bring light in the darkness. They had a hospital, judging by the sign. They had barbecue shacks. They had ramen shacks. They had all sorts of places. It was comfortable and nice and peaceful. Laughter could be heard as children ran around and played with one another. They seemed happy, oblivious to the outside world that would be coming after them very soon. But they were happy, and there was all one desire. A red-headed girl was currently situated in a field. It was a large field. Her eyes were closed. She was not alone though. She raised her hand up before she brought it down. A pulse of chakra hit the ground. The next moment, the entire field changed. The land became so cold, it was like she was standing on ice. It got harder and harder to breathe, but yet, she was able to step through it. The ground opened up as strange, puppet-like machines rose out of it. They all were focused on her. They had no face, just a blank, smooth area. Their hands, however, it looked like humans. The material. They were slowly approaching. Their bodies seemed to be channeled by an extensional force. Before they sprinted forward, she snapped open her eyes. When she did so, she released a build-up amount of chakra that stunned all of them. She then jumped in the sky. Out of nowhere, 3 shurikens came in both of her hands as she launched them. However, the robots deflected them. She was counting on that though. She dragged on the wires before it embedded in the puppet robot's chest. She landed on her feet. They seemed to power down whatever source inside of them, powering down. She landed with a smile. She pulled it off. Usually, she would fumble the cable and unable to retract and aim her weapons perfectly. This girl was none other than Mito Uzumaki. She was a former host of the Nine-Tailed Fox. She was no longer the host of the Beast though. A lot has changed since she was taken here when she was 7 years old, and now she was 14 years old. She had grown exponentially. She was wearing A red shirt that stopped above her stomach, with a mesh t-shirt underneath that covered her stomach. She was wearing a red skirt with black shorts underneath, as she was wearing high-thigh black boots. She was here training, practicing her skills. As she picked up on something, she quickly reached behind her where there was a small Tonto situated on her back. She deflected the incoming kunai. Someone flashed to her right as she ducked. She lashed out her hand to grab the person, but he pulled back, his calculated quick eyes making sure of every one of her movements. She slashed at him as he moved back. A few strands of his hair was taken off as the black hair fluttered in the wind. She stomped into the ground. Chakra reverberated from her stomp, blowing the ninja away. Before he could recollect himself, she shoulder tackled him. The both of them were sent down to the ground. She rolled, but he did as well. They bounced off each other and flipped to their feet. He breezed through hand sign, fire style. Fireball jutsu. She did the same. Earth style, she said. Tumbling walls. She slammed her hands down as massive walls came up. They then proceeded to slam down on the attack, dissipating it. The black hair boy flipped over as he was in mid-air, 3 kunais in both of his hands. He launched them towards her. Seeing them coming, she stabbed her blade into the ground. She then used her feet as she kicked it and flipped. She fired the blade through the sky. As it went and deflected 3, the other 3 were so close to her. Her hand touched the ground. The moment it made contact, a burst of chakra came out, blasting her right out of the way as the weapons landed. She gave him no time. She threw herself in mid-air, releasing a burst of chakra from her feet. They clashed in mid-air before they dropped. Phoenix Fire Jutsu. He rained out several mini fireballs towards her. She went through handstand of her own, wind style, capsulating current. The wind spun around her, and it did something truly amazing. It captivated all the fireballs. It wrapped a force of wind around and into it, empowering the fireballs before. As it came back around, it shot them towards him. They were at least 5 times larger. She wasn't done though as she fired the remaining wind around her. All of them meshed together and created a gigantic blaze. His calculated gaze was not prepared for something like this. He quickly leaped away as an explosion followed with it kicking up a lot of dust. The next thing he knew, a kunai was placed against his throat. However, he had a kunai placed right towards her chest with the back of his hand extended outwards. Even after all of that, you were still able to predict my move. Damn it, she said. We both know that I'm the faster out of the both of us. But it's not like you didn't get me either. After all, this could only end in one way. As she retracted her blade, so did he. The both of them had a smile on their face. Well, it seems like no one can catch you off guard again, he said to her. Well, that was one of my biggest weak points, but I'm getting better as you can see. So when the day comes for a real fight, I'll be able to show you that you're nowhere close to me, she said with a cheeky smile. Tuh, in your dreams, he said to her. He was her closest friend. His name was Sasuke Uchiha. She knew him from Konoha. Yes, she knew him from that time. The reason being, a part of his clan was someone that protected her. He kept her safe. He did everything that he could to make sure that she was okay. He was always there for her, no matter what. And Sasuke, she met him while she visited the Uchiha clan on several occasions. She didn't know back then, but many people had a problem with that. There was so much of them that hated the fact that she was going there. They fear what would happen because she was a holder of the Nine Tails. However, the problem was they fear Naruto Uchiha even more. None of them would literally go up to him and tell him not to. Invite her there. Invite her for dinner. To spend time with him. She was like a little sister to him. And she saw him as a big brother. From the moment she met him, he was the first to extend an olive branch of kindness when everyone else saw her as a monster. So when the opportunity came for her to leave, she did not hesitate. She fled with them, all of them. And now she was here. And it was the greatest thing that she could have ever done. She had so much new friends. She lived in a village where people did not see her as a monster. She was just like everyone else. And that was all thanks to him. She glanced up towards the building that she could see. From this area, it was really large, painted red and black. As a smile came on her face, Earth Tomato, Sasuke said. Oh, yeah? She said to him. Sasuke sighed. Lost in your thoughts once again, aren't you? He said, shaking his head as he deactivated his three-totem Sharingan. Meanwhile, at that massive building, inside was a man. His gaze was fixated on the outside. His back was turned towards the door. There was a knock, as someone soon entered afterwards. A dark-haired individual. It was none other than Itachi. However, behind him, someone else came. He was not alone. A beautiful, stunning redhead. She had purple eyes, dressed in a beautiful one piece with an obi around the waist that make it seem like a two-piece. She stepped inside along with Itachi, as she had a few papers in her hands. Itachi was the first to speak. Everything is accounted for in Kiri. We're just waiting on you to make the final move on who to send there. The person finally turned around. He had spiky, dark hair. It was not too long. There was two bangs that came down at the side of his face. The others were pushed back. His face was calm. However, there was a slash, starting at the left side of his nose, going towards his cheek. It was noticeable, but it did not take away from how handsome he was. Dark eyes that seemed to stare into your soul as he looked at you. He was dressed in a black and red robe, the insignia of the village leader. He was the Kino Kage. Kino, which suggests energy and spirit. It is a encapsule of a powerful sense of spirit and guidance, and the embodiment of a leader with the vitality and endurance that would represent both of the powerful clans. Over to the side was a hat, and there was a whirlpool, yes, curving around one another, and in the center of the whirlpool was a fan of the Uchiha, with a flame in the center connecting it all, the symbol that their people wear. A lot has gone through to make this possible, so much. At the meeting tonight, I will be selecting the few that I will be going with. The woman and Itachi were surprised. You're going? The both of them said, looking at him. Of course, he said. What kind of leader would I be to send my people against a dangerous threat and not be there to fight as well, to make sure that every one of my people returned home alive? The woman did not seem too pleased with that. Are you sure about what you're saying? She said. I mean, are you really ready to expose yourself to the world? He raised the eyebrow at her. Now, Urza, he said. It's not like people do not know of my existence, or perhaps they think I'm dead. It's been a long while, he said. I wonder, do you think they think I'm dead? He asked. Well, it could be a possibility, You have been away from the spotlight for some time now. And given your lineage, most people would have expected to see you a long time ago. Yes, he said, raising a hand to his chin. You're right about that. Well then, what better way for them to welcome me back to the world than for them to see me face off against a tail beast in the beginning? Both of them sighed as Itachi looked at him. We were thinking that you would have sent one of the elite groups. With them being there, it would not be a hassle in subduing the Mizukage and helping the rebellion forces. Yes, while that might be true, I believe it's time that I finally meet this Mei Terumi. The woman, now known as Urza, she was Urza Uzumaki, had a slight twitch when he said that, but none of them seemed to notice, as they weren't really looking at her. After all, she's probably wondering who she's in bed with, only talking to representatives and messengers so far. However, our encounters through the messengers has created a trust between us, despite the past actions. However, things are different. She is not anywhere related to what happened to your people, he said. Looking at Urza, I know that, she said. And you've been able to soothe a lot of the anger that come with us joining Kiri. Our people trust you. All of them do. Just like you said you will do. You will bring us back to greatness. And we've reached so far already. Under your guidance, she said to him. It is just not me alone. After all, if my people weren't here by my side, I would have nothing, he said. However, we've been hidden away from the world for a very long time now. And it's finally time that we make a comeback. Over the years, our alliances with several villages all over the continent has caused quite a stir. However, witnessing us and seeing us returning back to the elemental nation to face them head on, that is when the true chaos will reign. We've been preparing for this for years now. They won't get the drop on us once again. That is if they decide not to do something stupid and just play it smart and allow us to exist. After all, why must our existence cause for them to bring war and bloodshed? You're right. But we do not fear them, said Naruto as he stepped forward. After all, we were never hiding. We were just preparing, he said. As Urza smiled at that, she seemed rather happy to hear that. She was so glad that she had placed her trust in this man in front of her. Because look at them now. Things were so much better. Naruto placed a hand on Itachi's shoulder and hers. Do not worry. After all, with you two there as my main guards, I have nothing to fear. Now do I, he said. We will do all we can in our power, Itachi said. It doesn't matter what it takes, Urza said. Good, said Naruto with a smile. Now get the people ready, he said. It's time. The both of them nodded as they made their way off. Naruto proceeded towards his desk and sat down. As he gazed over his office, so much has changed to lead up to this path. A few years ago, they were left in ruins. Everything had turned into pure chaos. His hand reached up and placed it on his face. The scar that was given to him by his own father, which never seemed to heal. And Naruto did not want it to heal, because it gave him something to strive beyond. He always knew that Konoha would be against them. Growing up, his life was not really wonderful. People fear him. They hated him because of what his grandfather did, and his father as well. His father was much more docile and calm until he lost his wife. She was a Senju. She was one of the nearly parted cousins to the main family. She died during childbirth. She died giving birth to him. There were complications. His mother was told that from the beginning. while his father believed that she should just give up the baby. He didn't want to risk her, but the thought of doing that, she wouldn't. She would do all that she could to make sure she brought him in this world. And she did do it. She gave it her all. His father blamed him for that. His father lost the love of his life for a child that he wanted to give up. That Uchiha anger and rage came out full force. By the time he was 3 years old, he had to learn to fight. He had to learn to dodge, otherwise he would be wounded badly if it wasn't for two wonderful people looking after him. They were not even that old to take responsibility. However, they were amazing. Kushina Uzumaki and Mikoto Uchiha. Naruto glanced up. Rest their souls. They were there for him. They found him hungry. His father did not care that much about him. Maybe he was a nuisance to him. He went on long-term missions that took months. He had to survive on his own. But they helped him. They fed him. They even clothed him. He thought of them as a secondary mother. They were truly wonderful to him. They went even toe-to-toe with his father, despite his might of not harming him. They saw the wounds on his body, the bruises. Truly wonderful women. They were always by his side. He loved them dearly. However, Kushina passed away. She did, in the Nine-Tails attack. Well, the Nine-Tails had been set free from her. When he heard that, it shattered something inside of him. Yes, it did. The woman that he saw as a mother. It shattered and evolved something inside of him, granting him a great power that only few Uchihas ever acquire in their lifetime. Mikoto. He was there for her, and she was there for him after the passing of her best friend, and a mother figure to him. However, it was said that there was a Uchiha that attacked. A Uchiha had controlled the Nine-Tails. Things became problematic after that. It wasn't good in the slightest. There was a lot of hate, a lot of anger. It was before and during that time that he started to gain a reputation for himself. His father had died before Kushina was anywhere close to giving birth. The man seemed like he always wanted to die. He went out in a blaze of glory. Yes, him and his father never got along, but he had to say, he respected the man, the way he battled, the way he fought. That was the only thing that he respected about him. Nothing else. He was able to find out that things were getting bad when Shisui Uchiha was killed. People believing that it was Itachi, but he knew that was so far from the truth, it was just crazy. At the time, he never saw the signs until he finally confronted Itachi. Having literally been there, watching the birth of Itachi Uchiha, Naruto knew everything about the child. He knew his reactions, how he behaved. So he knew that something was wrong. Itachi finally broke and told him about him being a double agent. Itachi didn't want to do it. He didn't want to lose them. Danzo started to see the hesitance and the drawbacks that Itachi had, so he decided to do it himself. That night, they strike so fast. Many did not know about his full ocular powers. They underestimate him, despite his reputation. He butchered them all. However, he could not be everywhere at once. Many were caught off guard. So was Mikoto Uchiha. She was killed. That woke up a fire inside of him that begged to just incinerate everything around him. However, he was able to hold it back. The children, the younger generation, the one that made it, they had to live on. Fukaku Uchiha was taken down along with several of the elders. They were the ones that were attacked first. Fukaku was a very powerful man, the leader of the clan. someone that he respected, despite his tough attitude towards his children, mostly Sasuke. The man was understanding, and he did not deserve the fate that was dealt to him. He died, trying to protect his people, trying to protect his home. The bloodshed was truly horrible on all of them. Things did not look great. There was no evidence of who did it, but Naruto knew who did it after all. It was Danzo Shamira. It was obvious to why the man was alive. Naruto had something for him. Yes, he would die very soon, but his death was not going to be easy. He was not just going to lose his life just like that. He had something plotted for that man, for him to feel every single Uchiha's death that he caused. Everyone thought that Uchihas, losing their numbers, would just remain docile and quiet. However, Naruto refused. He was the strongest. He had been so for some time, but he never challenged Fukaku, out of his respect for the man. If there was one thing the clan respected, that was power, and his was the greatest. There was no doubt about that. Danzo had pushed his luck when he had taken down Shisui. Trying this had sealed his fate, and Naruto was going to make it happen. He might think that he was untouchable, but he was so far from it. It was crazy, and soon he will feel the wrath of a vengeful Uchiha. Many things had happened throughout that time period. For one, he kept tabs on Mito Uzumaki. He did not hesitate to break bones and snap people who dare try to hurt her because of what she contained. He befriended her, showed her that not everyone was a problem, and she slowly warmed up to him. He saw her as a baby sister. He will always see her as his younger sister. He no longer wished to burden her with the 9 tails that she carried. Many will be after it in the future, and he knew that. Because of the Uzumakis, they were successfully able to remove it from her, and the 9 tails was now under their control. To how he met the Uzumakis, it was actually her. Yes, she was the one that he had met, Urza. He met her and was shocked when he had met her. She wasn't supposed to be found by anyone. She tried to cover it up, thinking that he was someone that would blab anything that he saw. She tried to erase him, but she soon found herself overpowered. They were younger back then. She was a lot stronger now. However, Naruto has also grown drastically in strength. He was shocked. He couldn't believe it when he had found them. It was strange that they did not return back to the village. He found out sometime after that, majority of them, they blamed Konoha. It turns out that the help that Konoha was supposed to send was just a few teams of genins. It said that they were using their manpower to protect and defend several other places that was being sieged in the war. And they just forgot about the Uzumakis. Even in their peril, there was a station of shinobis that were supposed to be there to watch over them. However, the numbers were so low that those shinobis were killed before they could even send word of what was coming their way. Konoha did not really put in the effort. The Uzumakis were doing their best to supply them with everything that they desire, Fuinjutsu-wise and several other areas. They were their allies. They were supposed to watch their back, but they let them be overrun. Luckily, several of them, a lot, went through the tunnels and went away. A scout had came by and realized that everything was gone. They came to a decision not to go back, to move, to just quiet away from the world. Something that they hated, that they were forced to hide because of the other nations. Urza did not know why. She met him on a few other occasions. Naruto found her presence calming and comforting, and he would like to speak to her again. She knew that she shouldn't be doing that, but she did. And they met up again and again. He even told her his problems about the Uchihas being seen as monsters. She was the one that jokingly came up with the idea that they should create their own village and just get away from it all. With their combined efforts, they should be strong enough to defend themselves. Geez, even him alone could defeat countless. He took that idea to heart, and he spoke to her people. She allowed him. At first, they refused to trust him. Months went by and they refused. However, their Uzumaki pride refused them to just lie down and just be forgotten. Naruto was a big help in creating this village. Years went by, secretly. He had wanted to tell Mikoto about this, but it was just a backup plan. So he did it in quiet. He had the Mokiton after all, the gene that was passed down from his mother. She never had it, but he was special, it seems. With his Mokiton and years of work, they were able to create something fantastic. After the attack on his people, he knew that it was time, so he gathered his people. Many of them were against the fact that he was also bringing the Jinchuriki as well. However, his gaze and actions to move forward with her was something that they could not deny. So he brought Mito along as well. He would not leave her in that hellhole. He will not abandon her. And they fled the village. It was fast, quick. They used the help of their Uzumaki allies, Fuinjutsu. Naruto was able to do something that seemed impossible. He was able to bridge the gap and bring these two people together. In the first few years, it was rough. He wasn't even a leader. He was just someone that was there. Him along with Urza. Urza was the representative for them, and he was the representative for his clan. Urza was someone that was able to control and calm her people. However, she lacked the commanding skills that Naruto had to lead. But yet her people loved her. She had the love, so much of it, but the ferocity, the rage, that spirit that would never break. It was so hot in Naruto that it could burn with just a gaze. They came to a vote. The Uzumaki saw it. They knew it as he promised to lead them to a path where they shall be respected, where they no longer have to hide in the shadows. He shall bring them all together, unite them. Countless other Uzumakis were found over the years. They had spread, died there here. Countless missing names who were screamed by a selection of people. The Uzumakis with their special sensory ability were brought into the village. They even have a few ninjas from Kiri as well. When everything go back to normal, they can even return back to their home. He will have to speak to the Mizukage. Several of these people fled because of what happened. But some want to stay here. And Naruto was happy for that. So that was it. That was how everything led up to this point. There was many more, but as Naruto rose up to his feet, he had a meeting to attend. He made his way. As he smiled at his secretary, as he walked. He didn't really like the traditional robes. He preferred to just wear something normal, but well, he was a leader. Someone that the people look up to. As they smile and greet him as he passed. Here of all different shades and colors. As Naruto finally arrived towards the room, standing there was two men. The both of them were wearing body armor. They nodded at him, two staffs in their hand, as he opened said door. Naruto stepped inside. A few members from his clan that were older than him, beyond his late 20s, and a few elders of the Uzumaki clan as well. They greeted him with a smile. the prosperity that he has brought them, the leadership that he has instilled, to bring them to something much greater than them just hiding from the world. It was something that they would not soon forget. He was a leader that will go down in the ages. And now, they were re-entering back the world. They were bringing down the seals, opening their borders between them and the other villages that they had allied themselves with. A lot of programs that he had signed over the years would finally be brought to prosperity. It was time for them to begin anew and start it once again. The world better be prepared, as the Uchiha nation was here, and it was here to stay. As Naruto sat down, let us begin, shall we? Time skip. Gazing down towards the water down below was a man standing on a cliff. His mask was hiding his features. There was a smile on his face though. After all these years, they were finally going to make their unveiling. He wondered, what were they going to call themselves? As he chuckled slightly. He has met their leader already. He even tried to convince him to join him, but he failed. He might be untouchable to most, but he himself, he cannot fight that monster by himself. He might have done some horrible things in the past that will define him as a monster himself, but he was talking in terms of power. And while he was a strong person that had fought the fourth Hokage and came out on top, it didn't matter how the battle ended, he still walked out alive, and the fourth Hokage was dead. However, that monster was something else entirely. He was indeed the grandson of that man. Just as fearful, just as dangerous, maybe even more. However, if he plays this just right, things can fall right into his palms. As he watch the world burn, he take what he wants. He laughed darkly to himself. It's only a matter of time before he achieve what he desires. But guys, be end subscribe right here. If you want something important, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification they posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform, and don't forget to go ahead and check out the other channels. I hope you guys enjoy each and every one of them. So without further ado, I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace.